guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. All right, guys. Hey, I'm back. It's Mishel, Deception Bytes, and it is November 15th, Thursday, and it is 2:57 p.m. I'm getting an early start today. As you're aware, I wasn't able to post yesterday because of my schedule, but I'm going to make up for it today. Now, this is what we're going to do in this video. The first thing I want to tackle is the fact that I didn't, there's one post from Q that I missed on the last video. So I want to go over that today to make sure that I hit on it. And then we're going to go on to the Q related news. There's a lot of it and it may take more than one video. So we'll see how it goes. But for now, let's get started. All right, we're going to go over here and we're going to look at this post from Q that I missed in the last video. I do apologize for that. I'm not quite sure how it eluded me, but it did. It's a slippery little bugger. So anyway, here we go. And this has proven to be quite cryptic to a lot of people because Q simply said 53 to 47 and he signed it Q. So what is he meaning? This isn't the first time that he's used those numbers, 53 to 47. The last time was right before the Kavanaugh kerfluffle. And I think a lot of people assumed that it had something to do with Kavanaugh, which, come to find out later, it did not. So even then, I said one of my answers was the same as it still is. And I have found another thing that it could be as well. So let's take a look at these two things and see what you think. The first thing that I thought that it might have to do with is this. Now let's go out. This is what I said the last time. So maybe some of you that are regular listeners will remember me talking about this the last time that Q brought this up, because there was this article in Defense News that says U.S. Senate advances Saudi-guided munitions sale 53 to 47. Now, why do I think that this is pertinent? Well, this is from June 13th, 2017, so it's from a year ago. But it says, first of all, the story had been corrected. This story has been corrected to add one vote to the opposing party, making the vote 53 to 47. Well, that matches what the numbers that Q give. So is he talking about this? He could be, and I do have another possibility as well. So we're going to look at that. But first, let's kind of, flesh out this one and see if this might fit. Washington, the U.S. Senate, narrowly voted 53-47 along largely partisan lines to approve a $510 million sale of precision-guided munitions to Saudi Arabia on Tuesday. Now, of course, this was back a year ago, so I don't know if this is what Q is talking about or not. So it could be. It might not be, but let's look at one other possibility, and it's this here. And let me close that out. GOP newcomer flips 139-year Democrat seat in Texas 53 to 47. Now, I would think, because this has happened more recently, this is from September 19th, 2018, so not long ago at all. Is this what Q is talking about? I don't know. It's another possibility. Texas voters flipped a Democrat district red for the first time in 139 years with the election of political newcomer Pete Flores to the Texas Senate. Flores, a retired game warden, defeated former state and U.S. Representative Pete Gallego for the Senate District 19 seat after receiving key endorsements from political figures such as Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Senator Ted Cruz, according to My San Antonio. So it's a historic win. So I don't know. In my mind, I'm thinking there's a good possibility that Q is drawing our attention to this, but why? And we know having seen all of Q's posts from the very beginning, that Q always says future proofs past. So we may not know even what these numbers mean yet. He just might be putting it out there so that when it does happen, he can point to that and say, okay, this is further proof of Q. I don't know, but this, I think, these two things are as good a guess as any, I think. And it says this district has not been Republican since Reconstruction, and in September of 2018, it's Republican once again, Flores said. The work starts tomorrow. So, I don't know. Seeing if there's anything else pertinent in here. So, I don't know. But I would think that it's a good guess. What do you guys think? Have you heard any other things that people that, decode these posts? Have you heard of any other explanations? I certainly have, but in checking out those explanations, I've found them to be false. So I have looked into several people said, oh, it's this. I've looked at it and not had that confirmed. But if you guys know, you are always welcome to put your comments in the comment section below. I do try to read most, if not all of them. So there you go. And I know a lot of other people read them as well, just because of the likes and so forth on them. I know that people are doing that regularly, reading the comments. So some of them are quite entertaining. So anyway, now we're going to go on and we're going to touch on the California fires. And this is tragic beyond words, and I don't believe that these are organic fires that have just come up. I don't believe that at all, and I don't think that there's anyone that could convince me of that at this point. We had a couple people that are regular listeners here that live in the area that are just, they happen to be just south of Paradise, and they said that there was heavy chemtrailing right before these fires broke out, and also the fact that we know what they're spraying is highly flammable. So I do think that it acted as an accelerant, and the fact that they've not been taking care of the forest properly by clearing out the underbrush and cutting fire lines. So I don't know. There's also the fact that people are saying that the wheel bases and the aluminum parts of cars are just melting, and that requires about 1,200 degrees of heat, which these fires, normal organic forest fires, would not get up to that heat. So it's odd. The other thing that I find particularly peculiar is the fact that when you're looking at these, there's burnt out husks of houses surrounded by trees that don't even look like they've been burned at all, or there's a burned out cars with the metal just melting into the sidewalks and running in the sidewalks, but around there's forest and what have you that has not been touched, but there's skeletons in the car. This has burned extremely hot. And to me, this is very suspicious by any stretch of the imagination. But I came across this, and I do follow this person. It's Where We Go One, We Go All, at Find Truth Q. And I follow them on Twitter, and I've consistently find that they have really good information. So if you want to follow this person, I would suggest you do. You can also find me on Twitter at Mishel, Mishel, capital D, Bytes, Bytes. So I am on there, and I welcome you to follow me there. I don't make a lot of posts, but I do a lot of retweeting, and I'm probably going to get into posting more. So anyway, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I would love that. So let's look at this. It says, cough, cough, traitor, cough, cough. Anything short of the death penalty for Feinsteins isn't enough. Now, what is he talking about? We know that they've been involved in all sorts of nefarious schemes. So what is it this time? Well, this time I think he is right on, this person. I don't know if it's a he or she, but let's just call him he for now, until they correct me, because I don't know. Anyway, here we've got this, and Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for y'all, because I know some of you are on your phones. And this is Thursday, January 19th, 2017. But so I know you're thinking, well, why is that pertinent now? Oh, it is. Trust me. Dianne Feinstein's husband wins near billion-dollar California high-speed rail contract. Okay, so you're saying, so? Well, let's read on here. There's more. To the surprise of absolutely no one familiar with the ways of corruptifornia, the one-state party completely in the hands of the Democrats, a consortium whose lead firm is controlled by Richard Bloom, husband of Senator Dianne Feinstein. Okay, so we know that California is corrupt. We know that it's run by the Democrats. We know that Richard Bloom, Dianne Feinstein's husband, has been involved in some rather nefarious themes. But let's take a look at this. What does it have to do with the California fires? Everything. It turns out, yeah, everything. Okay, let's look at this. Dianne Feinstein's husband wins near billion-dollar California high-speed rail contract to the surprise of absolutely no one familiar with the ways of corruptifornia, the one-party state completely in the hands of the Democrats, a consortium whose lead firm is controlled by Richard Bloom, husband of Senator Dianne Feinstein, was awarded a nearly billion-dollar contract for the construction of the first phase of the so-called high-speed rail line to link San Francisco and Los Angeles. Those paying attention to the project call it the half-fast rail line because it will share trackage with conventional commuter rail trains in the sprawling Los Angeles and San Francisco areas, lowering its average speed to levels achieved by American railways a century ago. So, I know what you're saying. So, let's go on. Let's look at this. California wildfires line up exactly in the same path as the California high-speed rail system. Coincidence? I don't think so. I don't think you will think so either. That is way too much of a coincidence for me. What do you guys think about this? I think it sucks. Pardon my French. I really do, because I've seen this stuff take place not just in California, but all over. It happens in Canada as well. They want to put something in, big, a big business or whatever. It doesn't matter if you own that land. It doesn't matter if you say, no, I won't sell. Then they burn you out. Then they offer you next to nothing for your property. It seems pretty, I don't know. If Feinsteins weren't involved, I might question it and say, okay, well, it might be a coincidence. That's too big a coincidence for me. And I would bet, because I think most of you are very reasonable people, logical people, and don't just go off your emotions, I think that when you look at this and analyze this, that you too will come to the same conclusion that I did. And I'm upset about it. It upsets me. I don't like to see people burned out of their homes. I don't like to see people murdered. I don't like to see, the animals. The destruction of the forest. This is tragic on many levels. But let's go on here, because there's more interesting things here that other people have chipped in and talked about on this same thread. And someone says, oh, you already have connected those dots. I can't say I'm surprised. And down here, that makes sense. Connect these dots. And what are they saying here? Let's take a look at this. Map of U.S. fires. Think of all the catastrophes in this country this year alone and check out the proposed area for NAFTA highway and $100 billion high-speed railway coming to California. Coincidence? Also think about how the UN wants to dissolve the borders and unite the US, Canada, and Mexico into the North American Union. And apparently the yellow is the fires. And let's look at the next one. Think of all the catastrophes in this country this year alone and check out the proposed area for NAFTA highway. Coincidence? Also think about the UN wanting to dissolve the borders and make US, Canada, and Mexico North. Okay, we just read that, but this image is a revised business plan for California high-speed rail. And it lines up with the fires exactly. So again, we have this person that is also cooperating. And let's see if there's anything else here that might interest us. Okay, well then let's move on from this. Here is a picture of one of the, let's take a look at this. This is one of the pictures that I alluded to. Not sure if there is someone deceased in this car. I pray not. But look at this metal just running from this car. That's not normal. Yes, cars will become burnt out husks in a fire, absolutely. But look at all the greenery around this fire. It's odd to me, very, very odd, because if a fire burns that hot and that intense, you would think that the foliage around it would catch on fire or the stones be burnt or what have you. It just does not seem normal to me. And maybe you're looking at it and saying, well, you know, that looks normal to me. Well, if you think that, then I would ask that you would put comments in the in the comment section below so that we know why you think this way. And if you have whatever information you can provide, that would be great. So I don't know, but this doesn't seem normal. Of course, a lot of people have seen these beams coming down that looks like laser, and many believe, as I do, that these are direct energy weapons. So if you're not familiar with direct energy weapons, there's a lot of information out there. I wouldn't suggest that you Google it. I would suggest you go to DuckDuckGo and take a look so that they're not tracking your IP address. So anyway, there we go. I wanted to let you guys know that and see what you thought about it. Hopefully you will be as outraged as I am over it, because how do you fight against something like that? If you're in that area and you're in the area of the fires where the fires are occurring and you have your home there and your pets and what have you, maybe you have, a garden or some, agricultural area or whatever. How do you protect yourself against these fires? I don't know. And that would be horrifying. I don't think I would enjoy that very much at all, being at edge all the time, because you don't know, is it going to start in the middle of the night? How close to here is it going to be? How long will I have to get out? Will my way of escape be blocked? This must be horrifying for these people. So anyway, we're going to move on from that, and we're going to get into this, because I think this will be good news to most of us as well. Well, actually, probably all of us. Breaking court rules, Hillary Clinton must answer key questions about her private server. Well, what I would say to that is it's about time. Once again, Judicial Watch is doing the heavy lifting, and they really do the heavy lifting. Judicial Watch appeared in a D.C. federal court Wednesday on a motion to compel more testimony from Hillary Clinton, as well as to make public video recordings of depositions of top Clinton aides such as Huma Abedin and Cheryl Mills. So this, I think, is going to be very interesting to watch. Excuse me, my nose is itchy. The court ruled that Hillary Clinton must answer more questions about the setting up of her private server. Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton said that the court denied their request to unseal the video depositions of Clinton's aide. Tom Fitton, breaking court rules late today. Hillary Clinton must answer more email questions, including key questions about setting up her email system. Court denied our request to unseal video depositions of Clinton aides. Great work by Michael Bacchezza. And let me see down here. Via Judicial Watch in 2016, Hillary Clinton was required to submit under oath written answer to Judicial Watch's questions. Clinton objected to and refused to answer questions about the creation of her email system. Her decision to use the system, despite warnings from State Department, cybersecurity officials, and the basis for her claim that the State Department had 90 to 95% of her emails, Judge Sullivan is considering Judicial Watch's motion to compel answers to these questions. In her responses sent to Judicial Watch and the court on October 13th, 2016, Clinton refused to answer 3 questions and responded that she does not recall 20 times concerning her non-government Clinton email.com, her email system. And I find that odd that 20 times she responds that she can't remember, but she wants to be our president in 2020. I don't want a president that can't remember key issues. I don't want a president like that. Do you? I think it would be silly for somebody that's obviously having trouble remembering. They're obviously having trouble with their memory. I don't want a president like that. Thank you very much. So there you go. And she preceded her responses by 8 general objections and 2 objections to definitions. The word object or objection appears 84 times throughout the 23-page document submitted to the court and Judicial Watch. Well, she objects to everything, doesn't she? Of course, because she doesn't want to tell the truth, because she knows what that truth will reveal. Thanks to Judicial Watch, the American public was made aware of Hillary Clinton's private email server. Hillary Clinton conducted official business on a non-government server so she could hide her Clinton Foundation pay-to-play while she was head of the Department of State. Shameful. Very shameful. She lost her security clearance last month. Not a moment too soon, in my estimation. Tom Fitton says the public has a right to know the truth about Clinton's private email server, and I agree, and I bet you do as well. So that's good news, and we're going to go on from there to this, which is not good news, but it does give us a certain sense of satisfaction after what Avenatti did to Kavanaugh. And he wanted the women there to be believed, without just believed at face value, but he sure doesn't want that in terms of his wife, because he has now been arrested for domestic abuse. Avenatti speaks after arrest. I have never struck a woman. Funny how that happened, seeing as his wife is bruised, her face. Michael Avenatti made a brief statement after his release from lockup Wednesday, denying the allegations and saying he looks forward to a full investigation, after which he is confident that he will be fully exonerated. And it's interesting that he was whining about people not believing him, but did he give that same benefit of doubt to Kavanaugh? Did he do that? No. And where are all these women that were supporting him and everything? Where are they? Don't see anybody supporting him now. In fact, a lot of people have disavowed him and stepped back, and apparently, from what I understand, Stormy has fired him. So at least she has this much sense. Michael Avenatti gives a statement after being released from jail under felony domestic violence charges. He starts at 11:20. I don't know if we're going to go out and see that. I really don't know. I don't really care to see what he has to say, because when he opens his mouth, he lies. So, update after Michael Avenatti's estranged wife issued a statement through her attorney Thursday night, claiming that she was not subject to any such incident on Tuesday night. TMZ updated their report, writing, "We were initially told by our sources that the alleged victim was Avenatti's estranged wife. We now know that it was not. The incident involved a different woman." So, apparently, was not his wife that he abused. It was another woman. Not sure if that makes it better or worse. It just makes the whole thing awful. And none of us, I don't think any of us are surprised at that. I think we could see right away that this man was not a man of integrity and honesty. So Avenatti's office did not immediately respond to a request for comment, but in a statement to BuzzFeed News, attorneys for Avenatti's wife, Lisa Story Avenatti, refuted reports in TMC that the alleged incident involved her. My client and I have reviewed the TMC article alleging that my client... Sorry about that. I thought I had turned my phone down, but apparently I did not. So... Sorry. Okay, so Mrs. Story Avenatti was not subject to any such incident on a Tuesday night. Further, she was not at Mr. Avenatti's apartment on the date that this alleged incident occurred. My client states that there has never been domestic violence in her relationship with Michael, and that she has never known Michael to be physically violent towards anyone. Well, I don't know. I don't know. It seems like they had credible evidence or they would not have booked him. It says, update, and this is from the LAPD headquarters, update, we can confirm that Michael Avenatti was booked this afternoon on a felony domestic violence charge. His bail is set at $50,000. So there you go. He can say what he will, and I don't know for a fact that it was his wife. Maybe his wife is, as happens with many women, they're being abused, but they will not press charges against their husband. So I don't know if this is one of a situation like that or not. Here he says, let me be clear. I have consistently called on white males like me to step up, take responsibility and be part of stopping the sexism and bigotry that other white males engage in. It is especially important for them to call out other white males. I make this point in my speeches. So, just because you call on white males to step up and take responsibility doesn't mean that you're not guilty of anything. A lot of people do things like that because it provides a cover for them so that they can say, oh, no, not me. I don't do that. I warn other people about it. Yeah, we believe you, just like you believe Judge Kavanaugh, Michael Avenatti. I believe you. No, I don't, actually. I can't even say that kidding. I don't believe him. All right. So let's go on. We've got other stuff to cover here. And I think you'll like this. You know, the tour that Bill and Hillary Clinton were on, you know, with all the cities and stuff that, you know, she was probably saying that she wanted to run for the 2020 presidential election so that she could get the money flowing and the donations flowing. You know that their money has been, I bet you a lot of their money has been frozen. I'm just betting. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm betting because we had that clip of Bill and Hillary traveling economy, and you know that they're not going to be traveling on an airplane going economy unless they're having money issues. So I think this whole 2020 presidential bid is a way to get the money flowing back into, you know, her coffers so that she can, you know, all sorts of campaign donations and so forth. That's what I think personally. But the tour's been canceled due to poor sales. And Broderick movie shadowing it? I don't know. Let's take a look. Source tells the American Mirror that Bill and Hillary Clinton's 13-city tour has been canceled. And I think it's interesting that it's a 13-city tour. I don't know, just a number that's used a lot in the occult. Why not a 14-city tour? Why not a 12-city tour? Why a 13-city tour? Just questions that I'd like to know. The Clintons announced on Monday that they would headline a series of live events together, build an evening with the Clintons across the country in the final weeks of 2018 and into 2019. The tour will provide the Democratic stalwarts with a notable platform weeks after the consequential 2018 midterm elections and deep into 2019, when a number of Democrats will be jockeying for positions in the fight to be the party's standard bearer against President Donald Trump in 2020. The events, which are being produced by tour promoter Live Nation, are being billed as one-of-a-kind conversation with two individuals who have helped shape our world. Oh, boy, have they helped shape our world, and not in a good way either. So that is not saying anything. They've shaped our world and had a front seat to some of the most important moments in modern history. Oh, yes, yes, they have. Yeah, I don't think them talking about it is going to get us any closer to the truth, is it? But now that appears to be off due to poor sales. A survey of Ticketmaster listings Wednesday night for some of the shows indicates many tickets are still available for the early dates of the tour. Here's what's available for the December 4th event in Sugar Land, Texas. The blue dots are available seats. The gray are purchased. It's mostly blue dots, right? We can see that. In fact, there are very few gray dots, very few indeed. Mostly blue, yeah. And it'd be interesting. I hope they say how much those tickets cost, because my understanding is that those tickets were pretty hefty in price. And I found that interesting, considering that Trump goes around and does all these rallies and doesn't charge a thing. I think that's very interesting. He can get it sold out. These tickets don't cost anything, but they're sold out. You can't get in. You wait hours and hours and hours, and it doesn't matter how big a venue they hold it in. It won't hold all the people that want to come. But here's Clinton, and they can't sell out. And the November 27th date in Toronto, Ontario looks even worse. Yes, it does, because mostly, let's click on this. Maybe it'll, no, well, won't be any bigger, but there's a whole lot. This whole round area is gray, and there's very few blue dots, which is surprising, because I would think that Toronto, Ontario, would be well received, because it's we don't have Democrat and conservative here, but we have a conservative party, and certainly the liberals, what they call them, the liberals seem to be far more popular. At least they're louder. Anyway. Look at all that blue. Maybe that's the blue wave. Tickets available on resale sites such as StubHub are going for big money. As of Wednesday night, 971 tickets for the Sugar Land date are available on the site, some listed for $1,099.22, while others are going for $1,234.05 a piece. Wow. Okay, if I had a choice of seeing the Clintons or seeing anybody else in the world, yeah, I'd choose anybody else in the world. Really. I mean, if I was going to spend $1,000 on tickets, I better be seeing a Broadway show. I'm just saying. And who wants to pay that to see the Clintons? Who wants to put that into the pocket of the Clintons? No, thank you. No. I think I'll pass. And I think that that's what happened, because I think everybody passed, just about. But there may be another reason. A documentary movie featuring Juanita Broaddrick, who says Bill Clinton raped her in 1978, was scheduled to be screened in each city on the very same night the Clintons would appear. Well, isn't that interesting? Yeah, and I happen to believe Juanita Broaddrick. I really do. If it's true that the Bill and Hillary Clinton tour has been canceled, I'm more than pleased, Broaddrick tells the American Mirror. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased about it myself. So did they hear about the documentary Kyle Olson and I are planning to film and follow them city to city? Or did they finally realize they are not welcome anymore in America's hometowns? No, I don't think that was it. Honestly, I don't think, they get it. They just don't get it. They really don't. She says, referring to yours truly, either way, all I can say is it's about time. The Broaddrick film, which is in pre-production, is scheduled for release in the spring. Other dates on the Clinton tour include, and we won't go through all that because they've all been canceled anyway. It's not clear if ticket holders will be offered a refund. Well, they better be. They better be. My gosh. If I'd paid $1,000 to see them and they canceled, oh, you better believe they better refund my money. Not that I'd ever spend it on that. My gosh, I'd spend it on anything other than that. I like this. They just need to go away. Better yet, they should be arrested and put in jail for all the crimes they have committed and not been held accountable for. Hopefully soon somebody will grow a pair and complete a full investigation on them and their co-conspirators. Well, I hope that that's happening. I hope that that's already happened, actually. And I know we're all hoping that Hillary Clinton will be arrested. And I think we're all counting the days. Not that we're happy about that per se. It's just that we want justice. Justice. All right. Now, let's move on to a couple other things. Then I will cut this video short and probably come back with another Q-related news video because there's a lot of it. And a lot of it is very important. So, interesting this. Got this from Q Marine Corps Division. Dead people in Broward County are only voting for Democrats. Republicans need a better platform for dead people, or we will never win any more elections, or just expose voter fraud. So, and this person had a picture on their YouTube or their Twitter channel showing the an example of someone who would have been over 100 years old and was deceased back a number of years, and they had voted Democrat. Apparently, you have to be dead to vote Democrat. I don't know. Excuse me, I'm trying to quell my cough. All right. Now, let's go down here, and let's look at this by Paul Sperry. More evidence, Comey lied to Inspector General Horowitz. At least 7 of his Gmails rather, contained law enforcement officer procedures. Okay, sorry. More evidence, Comey lied to IG Horowitz. At least 7 of his Gmails contained law enforcement officer procedures too sensitive to release in a Freedom of Information Act request, yet Comey swore to Horowitz investigators he used his private email only when I needed to word process a public speech. Well, we know Comey is a liar, and that should not surprise any of us. Excuse my cough. You guys are very patient. You're very patient. All right. Now, this is interesting because it's just more proof of Q. And I think that anytime we can draw out and highlight, proofs of Q, then it's a good thing. Here, this is, and this was from Donald Trump at Eric Trump, wishing our father tremendous luck in Michigan, Mississippi, Idaho, and Hawaii today. Amazing father. And it has a HTTPS where the picture is located. But interestingly enough, let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller so that we can fit it on. Just make it a little bit easier to look at here. Now, if you go to this, which was provided for the picture, this is the URL provided for the picture, okay? But if you go out to that, you would get, sorry, that page doesn't exist. Interesting. This is the picture. Excuse me. This is the picture. And I love this picture of the Trump kids because they're just playful and they're just very, I don't know. It's a nice picture. But if you go to that, the one that was provided, you won't find it. What you do is you have to add a Q to it. Once you add Q to it, you get to the picture. So it's kind of like, I guess, a cryptogram. That's what it is. I think that's what you call it. I apologize. I don't know what causes this. They told me it was my blood pressure medicine that was causing me to cough. So they changed it, but I'm still coughing, so I don't know. But I do apologize because I know it is not pleasant to listen to somebody when they're coughing. Now, this is the next thing that I'm going to touch on, and then I'm going to break, and we can continue with the Q-related news in another video. But I think that this will, I think you'll like this. All right, now, the DHS two-election trap method. Now, I found this on Twitter, and there's several people that have this on their Twitter account, so I'm not exactly sure where it originated, but it's good. Now, over here, we've got DHS two-election trap number 1. DHS finds 16 fraud using standard deviation outliers. Now, November 8th, 2016, military planning. Everyone knows that Broward County is completely corrupt for the Dems, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz has had all the blackmail on the other Dems from the Awan brothers. Trump wins in arbitrary... there's something that's going right across here that is hiding some of the writing, which makes it hard to read this one sentence. But Trump wins in something too much for something to steal the election. Okay, Trump wins in, when Trump won, he won with such overwhelming majority that it was too much for the Dems to make it up with found votes, okay? With Trump in control, DHS takes over election investigations and uses big data companies like Palantir AI to surface data looking for voting patterns outside the norm. Ideally, you would get DNC insider Brazil to flip, and let's not forget about the Patriots, Seth Rich, that had it all. So that was November 8th, 2016. And then we go to this, 2017, setting the stage. Obama likely issued secret pardons right before he left office for many Dems like Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Dr. Snipes involved in rampant election fraud under the guise of Russia. Basically, Obama cleared the fake Russia meddling narrative, or created rather. Basically, Obama created the fake Russia meddling narrative, and then they used the narrative to justify stealing the election by acting like they were trying to stop Trump and Russia from stealing it. What if FISA declass is actually declassifying the scope of this DHS investigation into voter fraud that started with DNC and John Podesta as the first public arrest? Next, we go to here, 2018, baiting the hook. The fake pipe bomber provided pretext to flood Broward County with DHS operatives that have had ample time to forensically mark every pre-printed ballot and set all video surveillance systems in place within the Broward County voting office. Imagine using Palantir AI in conjunction with FISA warrants and Trump's 9/12/18 executive order to legally cross-reference social media profiles, texts, and calls of illegal voters. Swept up by FISA unmaskings, what if we tracked those cell phone locations on Election Day? This is getting good, isn't it? Really? Because here you've got DHS finds 16 fraud using standard deviation outliers. DHS obtains legal FISA warrants and Trump's 9/12/18 executive order. DHS forensically marks selected blank ballots. And then we go to here. DHS video, data, and phone tracking records crimes. So November 6, 2018, catch the fish. Here we've got military planning, setting the stage, baiting the hook, and catching the fish. The good guys know that the Republicans will win, so DHS allows just enough hacking by bad actors to let the Dems get close enough to win. Get close enough to win that they will risk fraud and take the bait. So basically, if you have someone that, is ahead by, hundreds of thousands of votes, it becomes hard to make up that many votes or find that many votes to make up the difference. But if they're fairly close, then it's more of an incentive for them to cheat, because they think, oh gosh, if we just had maybe 10,000 more votes, we could win. So then they get to work in the back making those. That's what he is saying. So they're willing to risk fraud if there's just, a few thousand votes that they need, as opposed to hundreds of thousands of votes. So the Dems get close enough to win to risk fraud and take the bait. In the meantime, we have our surveillance aircraft circling above that are tracking every cell phone for every illegal voter and every forensically marked ballot. Trap set. Future proves past fraud. Best of all, the optics are amazing. America begins to trust FBI and DOJ again. DNC and Dems are destroyed. Fake news is destroyed. And DHS swallows up the CIA for good. So I don't know where this came from. I'm not going to pretend I do, but it's all over Twitter. And it's all over Twitter on some places that I respect and trust. So I think this is good. I think it's viable. It could be so. And I believe, more than I believe that it's false, I believe that this is true, that this is exactly what has happened, and that they set the trap and the Democrats walked into that trap. So we have to wait this out and be patient. And I know that's not easy for any of us. We all want justice to be served, and we want it to be served yesterday. I understand that completely, but I really do think that they've got this. I think that this was well thought out, well planned, and that they have actually used this as bait to catch some really big fish. So there you go. Now I'm just going to go down a little bit, and then we're going to call it quits for this video. And but I do have a lot more Q-related news, and am planning on doing another video today. Look at this. Time to drop the hammer. Donald J. Trump tweeted this, and it says, the only collusion is that of the Democrats with Russia and many others. Why didn't the FBI take the server from the DNC? They still don't have it. Check out how biased Facebook, Google, and Twitter are in favor of the Democrats. That's the real collusion. And I think we would all agree with that. And here, this is interesting. Speaking about Avenatti, this person had to say, Avenatti now wants presumption of innocence. Of course, we give him that constitutional right. Did he give it to Brett Kavanaugh? No, he didn't. Not by any stretch of the imagination. So let's look at this. Care how many lives they ruin? These are angry people, including the highly conflicted Bob Mueller, who worked for Obama for 8 years. They won't even look at all of the bad acts and crimes on the other side. A total witch hunt like no other in American history. And I think we would all agree with that. And this from Deep State Exposed. Many people are beginning to notice that the deep state world order has seized control of the Democrat Party, since they are the weakest link to forming a complete socialist, communist state, but their hidden agenda is in the creation of a globalized, communist, one world order. I liked this because it summed it up very, very succinctly, and I think that we can all agree with that as well. Now, this you will find interesting. This from Mike Rothschild. Oh, I'm sure we can trust him not. While some QAnon believers are melting away, others are taking to vote to announce their intention to arm themselves and form citizen militias. Now, Lisa Mae Crowley, who I follow, has said in regards to this, total setup to try to pin the next false flag on a Q supporter. Well, I could not agree any more with that. That's exactly what he's doing. So I think we need to be on guard against that. Another false flag by a Q supporter, because they're obviously already getting that narrative out there, which doesn't surprise any of us all, but it's very wearying. It is very, very wearying. I think we just want this to end. Now, this is where I'm going to end it today, because this is probably one of my favorite tweets in the history of Twitterdom. So, liberals want us to turn in our firearms to prevent gun violence. Well, I'm sure they'll have no problem with whacking off their wieners to prevent sexual assaults. So I agree with this, and I think that all these people that are wanting to grab our guns, well, I think that these liberals should be willing to whack off their wieners. I mean, they're all marching with the little pussy hats, and they're so supportive of women. They certainly wouldn't want women to be assaulted. So, and they are in possession of this deadly weapon on their body. So I think that they should cut it off. And when they do, I would gladly hand over my guns. Of course, now that I'm up in Canada, I do not have guns, but as soon as I return to the States, I will. And I will hand them over once the liberals consent to whack their wieners. I think we should have big wiener whacking parties. I think it should be a celebration for all. But I would like to add that to you Democrat men, or to you Republican men, please do not whack your wieners, because this is not good for you Republicans for a number of reasons. But one of the reasons is that I'm not married, and I'm not likely to marry a Democrat. So I do want, the Republican men to stay intact. I don't think that they should be participating in any of this wiener whacking whatsoever. So just pass that along to your liberal friends. Maybe you might even want to, organize a party, hors d'oeuvres and wiener whacking. Or I don't know. Maybe you could just sit around the campfire and roast weenies and not roast the weenies. Don't roast the weenies, but roast marshmallows and whack the weenies. So there you go. That's my 2 cents for that. I think it's a great idea for the liberals. I would be all in support of it because they are very concerned about women. And they're very concerned about violence towards women. And so am I. So in order to prevent, just like taking guns will prevent homicides, well, whacking the wiener will prevent rapes. And I think we're all for that. Just you Republican men, don't pay attention, okay? All right. So that's it for today. It is now 3:49 p.m. Eastern time, and I'm going to stop here, but I will probably, in all likelihood, be back with another Q-related news. And so I will see you all then. I hope you're doing well. You're looking well. So I'll talk to you real soon. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.